First, financial documents for bankrupt crypto firm BlockFi were mistakenly uploaded without redactions, and they reveal a $1.2 billion link to FTX.
As the saying goes, what's covered by winter is revealed in the thaw of spring. Except that it's still winter. And my calculations show that I butchered that saying anyway. But what's getting butchered more is BlockFi in the financials department. An apparent leak of some important documents mysteriously appeared online unredacted. Let's see what all they revealed.
Just under $416 million in assets were tied to FTX, while BlockFi also had $831 million in loans to Alameda. Now, lawyers for the company previously said BlockFi's loan to Alameda was valued at around $671 million, along with $355 million in assets on FTX, but crypto prices rallied since then. A lawyer for BlockFi confirmed to CNBC that the unredacted filing was uploaded by mistake, but declined to comment further. BlockFi struggled in the wake of 3AC's collapse, but FTX had swooped in to save the firm. But after FTX itself went bust, BlockFi filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection at the end of November.
With all of the closets being discovered to be full of skeletons, I'm starting to wonder if skeletons are the real assets here. How much BTC can a good skeleton get you? Let's see if they address that here.
FTX Alameda puzzle may be falling into place. New reporting from CNBC.com shows that bankrupt crypto lender BlockFi had over $1.2 billion in assets tied up with Sam Bankman-Fried's empire. Mackenzie Sigalos wrote the article. She joins us now. Mackenzie, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So I worked on the story with Rohan Goswami, and it essentially shows that almost half of BlockFi's assets were tied to FTX and Alameda. That $1.2 billion exposure was comprised of $416 million worth of assets linked to FTX, another $831 million in loans to Alameda. Both those figures are higher than what was previously disclosed. It's unclear if that's just fluctuations in crypto prices or revised estimates, but these guys were really borrowing back and forth, right? Because this summer, when BlockFi took a hit because of its exposure to the now bankrupt crypto hedge fund Three Arrows Capital, FTX arranged a rescue plan for BlockFi, which involved a $400 million revolving credit facility to help keep them afloat. So we're talking about yet another example of crypto companies borrowing hundreds of millions of dollars and basically not paying it back and swapping around all this debt.
So this stuff is confusing. It's kind of difficult to follow with some of it, Mackenzie. What do we know? What's different about this? What do we think about Sam Bankman-Fried's business at this point, too?
Yeah, well, one thing I will say, Becky, is that what's significant about this document is the fact that it's the kind of insight that folks have wanted from crypto bankruptcies, but have rarely gotten, because companies will usually move to redact all that they possibly can in these cases, especially in a Chapter 11 bankruptcy where they're ostensibly trying to reorganize in the hopes of finding a buyer. And what this document does is it actually lays out the entire business model, the customer breakdown, its revenue figures. Like these are this is highly privileged information. And so if you're trying to buy this business, these numbers are everything. And it also gives a lot more insight into how these businesses did make money, or with BlockFi didn't make money. It was this lousy business model. You look at revenue, and with 662,000 users with money on the platform, they were only clearing $14 million in 6 months in trading revenue. That's an average of $21 per customer, which is terrible. But to go to your larger question about what does this potentially tell us about FTX, I think it goes to the fact that there were just such endemic problems with the lending corner of the crypto sector. It's really where all of this rot began, and this is just another example of that.
But why did the leak happen? How could the BlockFi team be careless enough to send out unredacted documents? Doesn't anybody in that building have a Sharpie?
Yeah, so last night, In3 Partners, an advisor for BlockFi's unsecured creditors committee, mistakenly made this upload. And the mistake is that a lot of the information was unredacted in a presentation. And the presentation showed that the crypto lending platform had about $1.2 billion tied up with FTX and its related trading firm Alameda Research. And as we know, FTX bailed out BlockFi over the summer, then swiftly sent it into bankruptcy in November after FTX collapsed. And that $1.2 billion included $415 million in assets held with FTX, in addition to about $830 million in loans to Alameda. Now, the number was reported at BlockFi's first bankruptcy hearing as being $1 billion, and obviously it has since risen. The presentation, which has been removed as of now, and we'll see if that stands to be the case, given that it's already been revealed to the public, also showed that after adjustments, BlockFi has about $1.3 billion in assets, which is a little less than half of which is liquid, meaning it's easily sellable. The document also showed that between the period of May 2022 and up to its bankruptcy filing, approximately 73% of its 662,000 customers were retail investors with $1,000 or less in their accounts. Now, this is all to say bankruptcy claims for BlockFi at this point in time are selling at about 23 cents on the dollar.